Okay, so let's take a look at how we can set up virtual machine that contains Visual Studio Community Edition on Windows Server. Right, for this we'll be going to all services. You can also click on create resource. That is one more option to go to there quickly, but I usually follow the menu for all services, then compute, then virtual machine. So this flow kind of helped me, and then here I am making use of this particular Azure virtual machine option. Right, there are multiple other options that you can choose, but Azure virtual machine is one option for you to choose. Now here you will be setting things up for, say, your free subscription. Then in resource group you can choose the group that you want. Then you have option to choose virtual machine name, so let's name this VST win. Right, then pick the region, then let's see, pick standard. Now let's pick our Visual Studio image, so we will be searching for the same by typing in Visual Studio. Right, within marketplace we will be searching for that. Now let's choose the same, and here you have Visual Studio 2022, and you can choose the community edition on Windows Server 2022. Right, select that and you will find your image has that option. Now it will modify your region infrastructure options accordingly. Notice that it needs some specific size, so here it is picking a bit expensive one for me, 16 GB, because the one CPU 1 GB won't hold. Right, so we'll still pick this one. Then we will pick our username. Let's go with my name here. After pasting the password, I'm going to next step. Here you can also run the Azure spot discount if this applies to your case. In my case, I'm not sure if it applies. Now next thing, you can see the ports that I can use: HTTP, HTTPS, RDP. You can go with that. Right, next is disk. Right, here you can see we have like OS disk option. I can go with standard HT, so that could save my some funds there. Next is networking. I can allow some ports and IP to pass, so it will create my own virtual network subnet. Then pick the security group as basic, allow some ports. Right, you can delete all IP and IC when VM is deleted. Right, now there is load balancing option which you can enable. Considering this is test, I'm not picking that. So next is management. So here you can pick the Defender for cloud option. Right, so it is already protected, it is not letting me select anything else. So here the Azure AD option is locked. Auto shutdown, site recovery is also locked, so we will have to move on. Here you do see the site recovery option enable. Okay, so there it is. I can enable that. There is also auto shutdown enabled. Okay, but let's move on as we are not going to use that. So next, monitoring part. I can enable the alerts, but it would generate a lot of alerts considering I'm going to delete the same. Right, so let's close this part as well. Right, here boot diagnostic is enabled. You can disable that if you want. Click advanced, which is final, and we can move on. Here you can see custom data that you can pass on, user data, performance, then host group, capacity reservation option, and finally tags. So here you see the tag, and from there you can move on to review create option, right? So it will pass on the validation part. So minimum you will be charged, it's also given per hour, and there is also that monthly price that will apply. So in my case everything is passed so far. I will be charged minimum this for running this VM, right? So I will just create and let this virtual machine start. So next step would be making use of RDP to connect to this virtual machine, from where I can access the Visual Studio community. Now click on go to resource once the deployment is done, and from there we will be collecting our IP address to connect to. Here you can see the random location turns out to be Brazil South. So I will just pick the public IP address, just copy it, then use RDP and click open. Now we will have to just paste our options. Here you can see my username. Here you will be asked for credentials when you connect, so let's connect. And here it is asking me to connect. Let's give it a password. It is now connected. Say yes, I want to connect despite certificate errors. So let's see what it does. It should open a screen, then allow me to log into Windows Server, and as you can see inside this we will be able to run Visual Studio. So if we can do that without much of an issue, then our purpose for creating virtual machine with Visual Studio succeeded. As you can see, it has installed Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio 22 and Unity Hub. Right here you can see we have to let server settings to proceed. It will open server manager for us. So try Windows Administrator Center and Azure Arc. Now you can see the local server services option, all server with their respective options. Right now, once everything is done, we can just close this and do our work with one of these tools. So let's first try with Visual Studio Code. It's good to see that everything is pre-installed for us. We can also check what else we have. We have Git Python 3.9, right? So pretty much most of the dev tools are there that comes with Visual Studio. Here you can see latest version of Visual Studio Code, right? So here let's check the version so that you can see it's the current one, right? So this is our VS Code. Let's open Visual Studio Code Community Edition. As you can see, it works pretty well and it feels like you are running in some local machine. It would be eating a lot of your bandwidth too while running this RDP connection, but you get the idea how to install Visual Studio Community on Windows Server 22 and also open them as if it's your local desktop. Once you open it, it will show you all the options and skip some of the options that require you to log in, you can pick the simplest interface and just load your VS Studio. As you can see, Visual Studio is open. You can create new project simply by clicking on create new project options, and it will be visible to you like this. As you can see, it takes a bit of time for these things to load, though I do have some memory over server, but it does consume resources and it will take a lot of time as well. But the purpose was to show you that it does work, right? So we set up Windows Server 22. Along with that, we added Visual Studio 22, Visual Code, and Unity Hub. Everything is pre-installed, so you are good to go, right? To turn off the session, simply click close and you will be disconnected. Coming back here,